Vrindavan Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gaura Nityananda Jaya Gaura Nityananda Jaya Gaura Nityananda Jaya Gaura Nityananda Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Narasimha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Narasimha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Hare Krishna. We'll start with Mangala Charana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Anantakaya Shukchakshodmantamnina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tati Svapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Om Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome. First of all, let me offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and all the Vaishnavas present. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on this wonderful and very mysterious pastime of Sri Gajendra. A lot of learnings, a lot of realizations that I've had reading this and listening about Gajendra. And special thanks to Gauranga Prabhu for thinking of me and letting me speak on this. I would like to try and present this to Vaishnavas present and see what we can discuss. It's more of a discussion today, really. because there's so much to capture on Gajendra. So I would like everyone's input, and I would like everyone's attention, kind attention, as it can get a little confusing. So before we actually start on Gajendra and Gajendra Moksha, and what happened to Gajendra, and how a crocodile named Boo captured Gajendra's foot, and they were fighting for 1,000 years. I think it'll be only fair to go a little bit in past and start from actually Canto 8, Chapter 1, where Shukadeva Goswami is asking, narrating about different Manus and the administration of the universe. And but one may ask that, Parikshit Maharaj is requesting Sukadeva Goswami to explain about different Manus and different Manvantaras. And it's very interesting that how Parikshit Maharaj had this realization, and why did he ask Sukadeva Goswami to narrate this pastime, and how this pastime came along in the first place. That's the question to be asked. And why did Parikshit Maharaj ask Sukadeva Goswami in the first place? So, if you think that in every Manvantaras, Lord has taken different forms and he has done different pastimes. And that was the reason that why Parikshit Maharaj actually asked Sukadeva Goswami in the first place. He wanted to ask, and I wanted him to narrate all the different pastimes and all the different events that has happened in different Manvantaras. So this particular pastime happened in one of the manvantras that we'll cover today. And so we'll start from the very start, what has happened. So let me just explain to you what a manvantara is, 1 day of Brahma contains, because that is very important. So 1 day or 1 kalpa of Brahma, Lord Brahma, is equal to 14 Manus, and each Manu is 71 yugas. So 1 Manu is also equal to, so let me explain it again. So 1 day of Brahma or 1 kalpa of Brahma is equal to 14 Manus. And then 14 Manus is further explained as 71 yugas. So when you talk about 1 Manu is not like, January, February, like a month or a year. 1 Manu is actually donated, here explained in Bhagavatam, that is ruled by a Manu Maharaj. So it could be Brahma or Swayambhuva or Sarochisha or Uttama or Tamasa, likewise. So there are 14 Manus like that in 1 day of Brahma. And so 1 Manu is equal to 1,000 Chaturyugas. So Chaturyugas is again your Kali Yuga, your Treta Yuga, your Satya Yuga, and or you can say that 1,000 Chaturyugas is equal to 4,300,000 times by 1,000 years. So it's a big calculation to actually remember. But you can say that 1 Manu is equal to 1,000 Chaturyugas, just to clarify, just to make it easier to understand. And
did you mean 1 day of Brahma rather than 1 Manu?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So you can now you can see that where we stand and how little we are. It's just to give you an overview, not to put a downer on you, everyone, but just to make you aware of the situation that we are in. And out of all these yugas and manus and all the years have passed by, all the yugas have passed by, we have been given this golden opportunity to reach back home, back to Godhead. So so with that, on that note, in the first chapter of Canto 8, this is what has been explained, that the four Manus has been explained, and then in later chapters, when the later pastime of the Lord has been explained, you'll see that all the 14 Manus has been explained. I'm not going to go into details of all the avatars and all the all the Manus. That might take a little while, but I will explain what has happened in chapter 8, Canto 8, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, because the pastime of Gajendra is up to chapter 4 in Canto 1. So, the first chapter, let me give you a little bit of summary as well before we actually dive deep into what has happened in Canto 8 and chapter 1. So, the summarize is that the description of 4 Manus, namely Swamabhuva, Sarochisha, Uttama, and Tamasa. So, after hearing descriptions of this dynasty, so Sarvabhuma Manu until the end of 7th canto. So Maharaj Parikshit is now asking what has happened further on after the canto 7. So the only reason, like I explained before, he desires to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead has done different pastimes in this canto. And specifically, he got very attracted to this particular pastime of Gajendra Moksha, of Gajendra. So now, Sukadev Goswami gradually describes all the Manus, and the beginning with the 6 Manus he had appeared in the past. So the first Manu was Swayambhuva Manu, and he had 2 daughters, Akuti and Devahuti, and he gave birth to 2 sons now named as Yajna and Kalpa, Yajnapati and Kalpa. Kapila Deva, and Kapila Deva is already explained in Canto 3. Between the samad between Devahuti and Kapila Deva is one of very popular topics of devotees. We can learn a lot about day-to-day life, and a lot of teachings Kapila Deva has explained in Canto 3. And now the description of Yajna, of the other son, that is explained a little bit in Canto 8. And the original Manu was so he went with his wife and he took Vanapasta ashram. Satrupa now was the name of the wife. So now he's given up his kingdom. He's gone to practice austerity for 100 of years. And in those 100 years, he formed prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what has happened is, while he was on the bank of river, he was practicing, he was narrating, and he was Upanishads. He was narrating some mantras from Upanishads. That's how Bhagavatam is explained. And those teachings that Manu has actually given are very, very interesting. And let me also tell you that Manu is father of all. He's not an ordinary person chosen by Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Manu Smriti is one of the books that is actually written by Manu, compiled by Manu, and to enlighten us, and it's a guideline to basic for all the humankind for us to follow on. And now, so going back onto what Manuji has done. So he went to a bank of a river with his wife, Satarupa, and he has entered into the forest with his wife, and he stood on one leg on the bank of the river Sunanda. And in this way, with only one leg touching to the earth, that's how severe the austerity is. And for 100 years, and I mean, if we were to stand on one leg for 1 minute, we'll get tired. So he did that for 100 years. And bear in mind, those 100 years are very long as compared to the Kali Yuga years. And so while performing those authorities, he spoke from Upanishad, and he's trying to remember Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one of the first verses that he actually explained in Canto 8, chapter 1, text 9 is Sriman Ruvachaha Yena Chetayet Vishwam Chetayet Ye Namaha. So it's very important what he says here. And this is actually the beginning of his realizations about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a lot of teachings. And so he says, let me read out the translation. He said, the Supreme Personality, living being, has created this material world of animation. It is not that he created by this material world. When everything is silent, the Supreme Being stays awake as a witness. The living entity does not know him, but he knows everything. So you see how deep, and how, if you meditate on this translation a little bit, you'll realize that how deep the realization is and what it actually means. And Prabhupada is explained in his puppet very, very nicely. It's like it's life changing. I'm not gonna even lie. If you think he's used the Prabhupada has actually said that when the material world is awake and put in working order, this is a kind of dream, a waking dream. When the living entities go to sleep, they dream again. And when unconscious at the time of annihilation, when this material world is unmanifested, they enter into another stage of dreaming. At any stage in the material world, therefore, they're all dreaming. And in the spiritual world, however, everything is awake. So, this is, I mean, Prabhupada has really explained so nicely what this translation is. And in a way, yes, if you're not practicing Krishna consciousness, if you're not practicing bhakti yoga, then we're all sleeping no matter what. And Prabhupada still says that everything in this material world is just in a dreamy state, whereas in spiritual world everything is awake. So I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of teachings that we can learn. The first teaching would be that we need to be awake. We need to learn. We need to basically practice Krishna consciousness very seriously. This opportunity that you've been given is very golden opportunity, and let's not waste even a second without any realization and without even not thinking about Krishna. Every second that's wasted is just wasted. It can never be. It can never be bought back with any amount of money that you may have. 1 second gone without any activity apart from Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Anyway, so continuing even in text 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14, the realization that Manu Maharaj and the guidelines that Manu Maharaj has given is very deep and very nice, and a lot can be learned from it. Another one is that within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, um, in his super soul form, is present everywhere. Wherever there are any animate and inanimate beings. Therefore, one should accept only that which is allotted to him. One should not desire to infringe upon the property of others. That's the text 10. I think this is very important actually. And Prabhupada has written such a huge purport on this. The purport goes on for a couple of pages long. That's how important this point is that Manu Maharaj has made. So he's saying that therefore, one should accept only which is allotted to him, not to desire or to infringe upon the property of others. I mean, we know that in Kali Yuga, but that's what everyone is doing. They're desiring on something that there's not, that it doesn't belong to them, and they're collecting more than what is needed. And I was listening to this katha of my Gurudev, and he says that um, we should live a life to the extent where when we die, we shouldn't have any sort of property that is named to us, or any sort of possessions that is named to us. We should we came to this planet with nothing, and we should leave with nothing. That's how we should plan our life. And it is very important to actually apply this as well, because if we have any debts or anything, that will then continue next life. So understanding will lead to a perfect, it will lead to living as a perfect life according to Manusmriti, and how Manu Maharaj is given this instruction. And also, uh, um, Prabhupada has mentioned in this purport that in um, in this word, the word Manu, man, or in Sanskrit Manushya, has been derived from the name Manu for all the members of human society, or descendant of original Manu. And in Bhagavad Gita, Manu has also been explained in chapter 4, verse 1. And the translation is, I instructed the imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, and Vivashwan, and Vivashwan is instructed it to the Manu, the father of mankind, in turn instructed to Ikshvaku. So we can see that how this knowledge that has been transmitted to us via a parampara, and sun god Vishwan has been instructed it to Manu. So Manu is an authorized source. So whatever we learn from today's discussion can actually be accepted because it has come from the right source to us. It has not been imparted by unauthorized source. So moving forward, so what happened is after that, so like this, Manu Maharaj was practicing on his on the mantras from the Vedic instruction known as Upanishads, and after after he was there for such a long time, there were some Rakshasas and Asuras that were very hungry, and they wanted to devour him, and they wanted to kill him and eat him, and therefore they ran towards Manu Maharaj with great speed. But of course, Supreme Lord Vishnu, who sits in everyone's heart, they Bhagwan Krishna was Vishnu was observing what was happening, and so then the Lord accompanied with his brothers, and his son was named as Yamas and all other demigods, and they killed all the demons and Rakshasas. And then he took the place of post of Indra and began to rule heavenly kingdom. So here, the Yajnapati came to kill Rakshasas and demons who was about to attack Manu Maharaj. So that's the first avatar of the Lord who has been mentioned here. And then further, the son of Agni named Sarochisha became the second Manu. So his several sons were headed by Susena, Rochismat, and Rochismat was actually the third Manu. And then his son Pramada, another son was Vashishtha, and they become the seven sages. And in the third Manu, during the reign of third Manu, the Supreme Lord appeared from the womb of Sunrata, who was the wife of Dharma and the demigod of charge of religion. And now the Lord was celebrated as Satyasena, and he appeared with other demigods named as Satyabratas. So now Satyasena, along with his friend Satyajit, who was king of heaven, Indra, killed all the untruthful, impious, misbehaved Yakshasas and Rakshasas. So that was the third Manu. And the brother of third Manu, Uttama, was celebrated as celebrated by the name of Tamasa. So Tamasa was the fourth Manu, and he had 10 sons that were headed by Prithu and Khayati, Nara, and Ketu. And it was actually in the reign of Tamasa that the heavenly king Indra was Triksha, and then the sages Saptarishi Dhama were headed by Jyoti Dharma. And in this Manvantara, Tamasa, and who was headed by the son of Vidhriti, and were known as Vidritis, also became demigods. So since the course of time, the Vedic authority was lost, and the demigods by their own power protected by Vedic authority. So now in this Manvantara, the Supreme Lord Vishnu took birth from the womb of Harini and wife Harimedha, and he was known as Hari. And Hari saved his devotee Gajendra from elephant from the mouth of a crocodile. So we'll now be continuing in this Manvantara, where the Lord Hari came from Harini and Harimedha. So now, just 1 second. So yes, so now we are on chapter 2 of Canto 8. where Shukadev Goswami will explain how Lord Hari took Gajendra back to his god. Not, I mean, Gajendra was saved, and how he got into the crisis in the first place. That is explained in chapter 2. So now, to give you an overview, there was in midst of ocean of milk, there is a very high mountain, and it's 10,000 yojanas big, about 80,000 miles. So this mountain is known as Trikuta. In the valley of Trikuta, there's a nice garden called Ritumat. So Ritumat is where this incident takes place. And also bear in mind that this incident is not taken place in the material world. It is taken place in spiritual world. So this mountain that you are hearing in midst of ocean of milk, it's not, obviously it's not uh, in material world. It's in spiritual world. So again, just to remind, so the mountain name of the mountain is Trikuta, and the garden that has taken place is called Ritumat, and it was constructed by Varuna. And in this area, this mountain is very beautiful. It's every time the ocean wipes off the shore, it leaves golds and a lot of different jewels and a lot of different valuable precious stones. So, and the gardens are full of different kind of fruit that bear in every season, all year long. And so in this Ritumat garden, the chief of element, Gajapati, Gajendra, he is along with his female elephants, and he went to the river and enjoy bathing in the lake that was nearby Ritumat. And they did disturb the inhabitants of water as well, because they were so engrossed in enjoying themselves that they didn't care about anyone else. So inhabitants of water, meaning the crocodile, and he was the chief of crocodile in the water. So he was very powerful, and he immediately attacked the leg of Gajapati. And now there are few interesting points that has been made in Canto 8, Chapter 2. And yeah, this is it. So in text 25 and 26 and 27, Canto 8, the translation of 25th is: the king of elephant entered the lake, bathed thoroughly, and was relieved by the fatigue. Then he was with the aid of his trunk, he drank the cold water, and which was mixed with the dust of lotus flower and water lilies, until he was fully satisfied. And then in 26, this is very interesting. Like a human being who lacks spiritual knowledge and is too attached to the member of his family, the elephant, being illusioned by the external energy of Krishna, and his wives and children bathe and drink the water. Indeed, he raised the water from the lake, and with his trunk and sprayed it all over them. He did not mind the hard labor involved in his endeavor. So now the text 26 is very interesting. Shukadev Goswami is actually comparing the elephant with human beings. He's saying, like human being who lacks the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, and is attached to the member of family. Now, I mean, we are all attached to our families and our little kingdom that we have. But at the same time, this is in the material world. So apart from the Lord, nothing is permanent. So we get so attached to our little things, our mobile, our cars, our house, our day-to-day activities. Everything that we do, we get very attached very easily. But we do not get attached to one thing that is important, that is chanting of the holy name, the Lord. So here it's mentioned that he did not mind the hard labor involved in this endeavor. So it's actually, the scenario is exactly the same. We do not mind the hard labor as well. We do not mind all the endeavor that we do for our children, our day-to-day life, our to make our life more easy and more pleasurable. We don't mind all the hard work. But actually, if we connect this point to the point that was made in chapter 1, that Prabhupada mentioned, that this is all a dream, that we are living a life of lie. In deep down inside our heart, if you think what is the truth and what is the one thing that is going to stick to us, you'll have the calling of your heart, that is the name of the Lord. Nothing else will stick to us, no matter what. And there's only one thing that will continue from different body to body to body. And our soul, when it travels to different bodies, there's only one thing that will actually remain with us. That is the spiritual practices that we've done, the bhakti yoga that we practice. I'm making this point because further down in chapter 3 and 4, I will connect this point to what has happened and how elephant Gajendra is able to remember the Lord, and how he was able to come out from this crisis. And actually, if you think about it, our life is not different from Gajendra. And the realization that I had when I was reading this chapter was, we are actually in very tight spot with the Maya Devi, and in a way we are trapped and we are captured by this crocodile that we can't see, you know, and we are getting constantly pushed by the material energy. But what are we doing? Rather than we fighting against the Maya Devi, we are actually compromising ourselves. That okay, it's okay. Yes, we are chanting, we are fine, no problem. But it's okay. Maya Devi will attack us. No, we should stop ourselves there and then, and we should not actually let our mind dwindle in that kind of thinking at all. That oh, it's okay. No, it is not okay. We cannot let Maya Devi attack us every time. We have to be in constant thought of the Lord constantly, because if we are not, then we'll slip back into where we were before, and then it's going to take us so long to come back to this platform. So this life has, has very important meaning, deeper meaning to what we live. And the deeper meaning is taking the shelter of the Lord and taking the shelter of his lotus feet. And again, the realization that I had was that we are trapped into this situation where the crocodile is, the Maya Devi is constantly, throwing different tantrums at us every single day, different tests that I like to put it, that we have to deal with on everyday basis, while either we are doing bhakti, or we are retired, or we are working, or we are student, or we are working somewhere for someone, doing some sort of job. We are constantly being tested, and slowly and steadily being eaten by the crocodile that we have in our lives. And we have to be very strong in our faith, and be very, very strong in our bhakti and sadhana, that we cannot let the crocodile win. But I will make another point from the crocodile's point of view as well later on, after we have narrated this pastime. And that is a very, very important point. I will come back to it. So anyway, so right now I was explaining that how this is very important, that we should be fixed on our sadhana, we should be fixed on our daily practices. And like I said before, that was said by my Gurudev in this lectures, in the series of Gajendra, that every minute that is wasted in our day-to-day life will not come back. And if you're not spending it well enough, then we're actually wasting our time. And if I'm saying well enough, that is not practicing bhakti, not practicing Krishna consciousness. And if you're not practicing Krishna consciousness, then it's actually a waste of time. One may ask, actually, that oh, how can we actually be engaged all the time? How can we actually be engaged in chanting the holy name, or listening to the class, or well, there are a lot of ways to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Imagine if we are now discussing Gajendra Moksha today, and you might reflect on this all day in your mind. You might think about Gajendra and teachings that Prabhupada is making in his purport, and Parikshit Maharaj's teaching, and Sukadev Goswami's teachings. So there are a lot of teachings that are within every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we might just actually think about it every day, or every second, or every minute that we are spending. That okay, Gajendra was in the right spot with crocodile, but he narrated some beautiful prayers, and then he got saved. Then that time when gone is actually not gone in a bad way. It's actually gone in a good way, because we are thinking, and we are constantly engaging our mind into Krishna consciousness. We're not thinking about anything material but spiritual. So that time spent is actually well spent. So that's the way that we can actually engage our mind constantly. Or if you get some time during our breaks, or during the day, if we are say driving somewhere, we can listen to some pastimes, or we can listen to some kirtan, or we can narrate, or we can recite some shlokas, practice some shlokas, or listen to some audios by our spiritual masters or by Prabhupada. So that's again spending every conscious time that we have in Krishna consciousness. And I mean, from our day to day, I can definitely tell by my experience. One of my habits that I've put in, the moment I wake up, first thing I do is I'll pray to my spiritual master that thank you for waking me up. Because when we chant Om Ajnanatimidandasya, that thank you for saving me from this dark side of spiritual of this material world, and thank you for shedding some light into my life. And I chant these prayers every day, and I not audibly loud, but in my mind, I will always thank to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev that thank you for letting me live another day, and let me live this day to the fullest of best of my abilities, and let me not waste time anything material. And then I just jump on, and before jumping onto the floor, I'll actually pray to Bhudevi, Mother Earth, that thank you for letting me step on you, because I am not actually capable of stepping on you, but let me just step on you, and let me do something spiritual. And then I'll have shower, and then I'll constantly play kirtan while I'm getting ready, and then then wake up the lordships, and then that morning activity becomes very spiritual in all the way. So I'm just giving you some tips from what I do. Maybe that can help someone today to apply in their daily life. Although I'm no one, but I'm just sharing my realization that I had from Gajendra. So yes, moving forward. So now, after seeing Gajendra, he was that he's in grave danger. That crocodile has actually captured him. And now, if you think that where does crocodile live? Crocodile lives in water, and elephant, they live in land. So crocodile will be more powerful in water, and whereas elephant will be more powerful on the land. But here the opposite is happening. They're both so strong. Gajendra is actually the chief of elephant. That means he has got power of 10,000 elephants in him. So he's trying to push crocodile, and crocodile is trying to push him. So they're both struggling, and this goes on for 1,000 years. So imagine fighting with someone for 1,000 years. Only after 1,000 years, the strength of Gajendra is kind of wearing off, and even crocodile is getting tired. But at the same time, crocodile is not getting tired because he's in water. He's in his original form where he belongs. So he's more stronger. So he's trying to push him back into the water, into the lake, where he can kill Gajendra. So now we will jump on to chapter 3. And these prayers by Gajendra, prayers of surrender, are very beautiful. and the whole chapter is actually Gajendra Stuti or Gajendra Moksha is very popular because many it's written in scriptures that one if chanted at time of death, you get the similar level as what Gajendra got. Similar kind of moksha. That's why it's called Gajendra Moksha. So I mean, it'll be only fair to read out to chant out this. I think it's only about 28 verses of Gajendra prayers, but they're very beautifully narrated and very beautifully chanted by Gajendra. So, Prabhuji, if you can share the slide from text 2 of chapter 3, canto 8. So we will read the Sanskrit version of it. So in this, so Gajendra is chanting Sri Gajendra Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etacchidatmakam Purushaya Divijaya Pareshaya Vidhimahi Yasminnidam Yataschedam Ye Nedam Ya Idam Swayam Yosmat Parasmach Parahe Tam Prapadhe Swayam Bhuvam Ya Swatmanidam Nijamaya Yarpitam Kvachit Vibhatam Kvachitatirohitam अविद्दृक् साक्षुभयं तदीक्षसे स आत्ममूलो वतुमां परात्परः कालेन पंचमितेषु कृत्स्नशो लोकेषु पालेषु सर्वहेतेषु तमस्तदासीत् गहनं गंभीरं यस्तस्य पारेऽभिविराजते विभुः न यस्य देवा ऋषयः पदं विदुः जन्तु पुनः कोर्हति गन्तुमीरितुम् यथा नटस्य कृतिभिर्वचेष्टतो दुरत्ययानुक्रमणः समावतुः दिद्रक्षवो यस्य पदं सुमङ्गलं विमुक्तसङ्गा मुनयः सुसाधवाः चरन्त्यलोकाव्रतमभ्रम अवमने भूतात्मभूत स्वहृदय समय गतिः न विद्यते यस्य च जन्म कर्म वा न नाम रूप गुण दोष एव वा तथापि लोकाप्यसंभवायया स्वमायया तानिनुकालमृच्छति तस्मै नमः परेशाय ब्रह्मणेऽनन्तशक्तये अरूपाय रूपाय नमः आश्चर्यकर्मणे नमः आत्मप्रदीपाय साक्षिणे परमात्मने नमो गिरां विदुराय मनसचेतसामपि सत्त्वेन प्रतिलभ्याय नष्कर्मिन्न विपश्चिता नमः कैवल्यनाथाय निर्वाण सुख संविदे नमः शांताय घोराय मूढ़ाय गुणधर्मिणे निर्विशेषाय साम्याय नमो ज्ञानघनाय च क्षेत्रज्ञाय नमस्तुभ्यं सर्वदक्षाय साक्षिणे पुरुषायात्ममूलाय मूलप्रकृतये नमः सर्वेन्द्रिय गुणदृश्ये सर्वप्रत्यय हेतवे असत्ताचाय योक्ताय सद्भासाय ते नमः नमो नमस्तेऽखिलकारण नमो नमस्तोऽखिलकारणाय निष्कारणाय अद्भुतकारणाय सर्वगमान्यमहार्णवाय नमोपवर्गाय परायणाय गुणारणिच्छन्दिदूष्मपाय तस्व भविस्फुर्जितमानसाय नैष्कर्म्य भावेन विवर्जितागमः स्वयं प्रकाशाय नमस्करोमि मादृक् पपन्न पशुपाश विमोक्षणाय मुक्ताय भूरि करुणाय नमोलयाय स्वांशेन सर्वतन् भृन्न मनसि प्रतीत प्रत्यक् दृशे भगवते बृहते नमस्ते आत्मा आत्मा जाप्त गृहवित्त जनेषु सक्तै दुष्प्रापणाय गुणसंग विवर्जिताय मुक्तात्मभि स्वहृदय परिभाविताय ज्ञानात्मने भगवते नमः ईश्वराय यम धर्म कामार्थ विमुक्त कामा भजन्त इष्टां गतिमाप्नुवन्ति किं च्वाशिशोरात्यपि देहवयवं करोतु मे हृदयो विमोक्षणम् एकान्तिनो यस्य न कञ्चनार्थं वाञ्छन्ते एव भगवत प्रपन्ना अत्यद्भुतं तच्छरितं सुमङ्गलं गायन्तानन्द समुद्रमग्ना तमक्षरं ब्रह्म परं परेशम् अव्यक्तात्मिक योग गम्यम् अतीन्द्रियं सूक्ष्ममिवाति दूरम् आनन्त्यमादं परिपूर्णमीडे Yasya brahmadayo deva veda lokah characharaha nama rupa vivedena phalvyacha kalaya krita hitarchi shogne saviturga bhastyo niryanti samyanti swarit sukrit swarochisha yatha yato yam guna sampravaho buddhirmana khani sarir sarga सवै न देवासुरमर्ततीर्यं न स्त्री न षण्डो न पुमा न जन्तुः नायं गुणकर्म न सन्न चाशन निषेध शेष जयतादशेषः जी जी विषय न मिहामया किम अंतर्बाह्यचार वृते भयोन्य इच्छामि काले नयस्य विप्लवा तस्यात्मलोक वर्णस्य मोक्षम सोहम विश्वसजम विश्वम विश्व विश्वमेधिसं विश्वात्मनमजम नमजं ब्रह्म प्रणतोऽस्मि परम पदम योगारंदित कर्माणो हृदि योग विभाविते योगिनो यं प्रपश्यन्ति योगेशं तं नतोऽस्म्यहम् नमो नमस्तु भ्रमसह्य वेग शक्तितराय अखिल द्विगुणाय प्रपन्न पालाय दुरंत शक्ते गदीन्द्रियाणां मनवाप्य वर्त्मने नायं वेद स्वमानात्मन् यशक्त्यान्दियाहतं तं दुरत्याय माहात्म्यं भगवन्तं मितोऽस्म्यहम् श्री गजेंद्र जी की जय. So here I've read out about 29 verses from the verse number 2, and I don't know if you have caught on it, but I practice Gajendra Moksha. I read Gajendra Moksha every day, and it is said in chapter 4, end of the chapter 4, that if you read Gajendra Moksha every day in Brahma Murta, you get same what do you call it? Same level as Gajendra. But I don't read it as because I want same level as Gajendra, but I read it because I like to offer prayers that is Gajendra has spoken in glorifying the Lord. And Gajendra has spoken so beautifully in these prayers that if you practice it every day, you'll realize, you'll start to know the meaning of these verses straight away. One of the verses that I might very very clear, very very dear to me is yeah, कालेन पंचमितेषु कृत्स्नशो लोकेषु पालेषु सर्वहेतेषु तमस्तदासीत् गहनं गंभीरं यस्तस्य पारे विविराजते विभुः. And the translation is, in the due course of time, when all the causative and effective manifestation of the universe, including all the planets and their directors and the maintainers, are annihilated, there is a situation of dense darkness. That's why he says, Tamas tadasid gahnam gambhiram. Above, however, is the supreme personality of Godhead, and I take shelter of his lotus feet. So I like to always think that that I am in the dense darkness, and above all the darkness is supreme personality of Godhead, and I would like to take shelter of his lotus feet. And that this is very dear to me. Whenever I read this verse, it really touches my heart, and it really reminds me that how I'm in in darkness every single day, and to get out of this darkness, there is only one way: Guru and Gauranga, and taking uh, uh, the shelter of their lotus feet. And like that, there are, I mean, the stuti, the Gajendra stuti is very beautiful. If one may have a little time, they should read the translation and perfect. You'll realize what I'm trying to say. And anyway, moving forward from Gajendra stuti. So now what has happened? We have seen that Gajendra has been caught, and he is all of a sudden he's narrated this beautiful stuti to the Lordship. But one may ask now that how has he remembered? He's an elephant. How has Gajendra got to do with anything with the how he has a spiritual connection? So now let us look into the backstory of who Gajendra was and where did it come from and why in the first place Gajendra got the body of an elephant. And same goes with crocodile as well. So crocodile is not an ordinary crocodile. He he came from the spiritual planet, and he got cursed, and hence he became a crocodile. So now let's look into how Gajendra got how Gajendra returned to the spiritual world. But who was he to begin with? So this is actually mentioned in fourth chapter of that's the last chapter of Gajendra prayers, and the fourth chapter describes the previous birth of Gajendra, and how he became the crocodile. So there was a king on the Gandharva planet, and his name was Huhu. And once the king Huhu was enjoying with his wives in water, and while enjoying, accidentally he pulled a leg of a rishi called Devala Rishi. And he was, while Devala Rishi was praying to the Lord and he was concentrating, meditating on the Lord, he he got, all of a sudden, imagining you're praying in the water, he got pulled by some Gandharva because of his because of that he was doing. And upon that, the sage Devala Rishi got very angry. He got very annoyed, and immediately he cursed him. He said um, that he cursed for him to become a crocodile. So Huhu became crocodile, and now King Huhu was very, very sorry. He realized straight away, and he begged for some some concession, some pardon from the sage. And sages are very compassionate by nature, and so he said, "Okay, that is fine. The benediction will be that you will be freed from this curse when Gajendra will be personally delivered by the Lord." And thus the crocodile was delivered when Lord Narayana, Lord Hari, when he came as Hari, he killed the crocodile with his Sudarshan Chakra. So now, when Gajendra became one of the Lord's associate in Vaikuntha, but how did he achieve this? So Gajendra was actually King um, King Indradumna in his previous life in the Tamil country, in Tamil region of country, and he was a very he was known for his Vedic principles, and he retired from his family life, and he constructed a small cottage in hills of Malayachala, Malayachala, and he always worshipped Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his sadhana was very, very strong. And one day he was practicing his sadhana, and he was concentrating, he was meditating on the Lord, and Agastya Rishi came to his little cottage. And when Agastya Rishi came, he was so engaged in worshipping the Lord, and his eyes were closed, that he did not actually realize and acknowledge that Agastya Rishi has came, and he did not welcome the way one should receive such an elevated pure soul. And by this, Rishi became very angry because he did not receive um, the welcome that he was expecting. And because of that, he cursed the elephant, in the Maharaj Indradumna, that you will become like a dull elephant. And that elephant became Gajendra. And now what happened? He apologized, and he said, "I'm sorry, Agastya Rishi. Please forgive me, and please pardon me for my mistake." And in accordance with this curse, the king was born an elephant and forgot everything in his previous life. So he forgot everything. But what happened? The moment he got attacked dangerously by the crocodile, and he was fighting for 1,000 years, and he was about to give up, at that time he remembered. So he picked up the lotus flower from the river, and he offered that to the Lord by saying all those prayers. And one one might say that, how did he remember all those things from his previous lives? So remember, I said that when we actually change body from to body, and our soul travels to different bodies, there's only one thing that goes with us, that is our spiritual practices. So now, if we practice chanting of Gajendra Moksha, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and doing our sadhana very sincerely, yes, we might not remember who were we in this life, but one thing that will stick to our soul is our consciousness. And since we practice our bhakti so nicely, we will be able to remember even a speck of it in the next life, and that will help us to remember the Lord in our next life. So remember, I was saying earlier that I will come back to the point of the crocodile. That crocodile was not an ordinary crocodile. He was Huhu, King Huhu, and he came from spiritual planet as well. So now, if you look this, concentrate on this story from crocodile's point of view, right? He is waiting, and he got um, killed by the Lord, and he achieved the spiritual world as well. He went back to Godhead as well. So now, if we think and if we really concentrate on what Huhu did to Gajendra, we are in a similar situation. So Gajendra, being a pure devotee, and he became Parshad of the Lord. He gave one of the associate of the Lord, is a pure devotee, and crocodile is like us. He's holding on to the pure devotees, lotus feet. So we have to be like that. We cannot give the lotus feet of the pure devotees. We have to hold and we have to pray to the lotus feet of the devotees that please take us with you. And because of Gajendra, who got liberated as well. So this point is very, very important, that no matter what, we should not leave the lotus feet of the pure devotee. And now one can say, oh, we don't know who pure devotee is, or what can we do? Are look at the authorized source that Prabhupada is. Prabhupada is one of the pure devotees, and then now all his disciples, they are all pure devotees. We have pure devotees around us, and we can take the association. We can take their. We can listen. We can personally go and associate with them. We've got so many pure devotees. We are so lucky in this day and age. So all we have to do is just make an endeavor and remember what Gajendra has said and prayed to the Lord. So this is one of my realization, that if we spend all our time and all our little microseconds of a life that we're given to us to in Krishna consciousness, and we also not leave the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas and not offend them in any way, then I think we were in good position. But the only way we can do that is if we practice our sadhana and if we have the desire to do so. The desire is very important. If you don't have the desire to serve the devotees, and if you don't have the desire to reach back to Godhead, then it's very hard. Because we can learn from Damodar Lila, the parishram, the hard work that Yashoda Mai did to tie Krishna around the motor. It's a similar sort of effort that we have to put in, or even 100 times more effort that we have to put in, because we are not as elevated as Yashoda Maiya. So we have to really have that desire, and we have to really do the hard work in spiritual life in order to attain something or to be somewhere. And again, sincerity is important as well as desire and hard work. If you're not sincere and we're constantly criticizing others, then it is very impossible. It is very, very impossible. To the extent that the moment you offend pure devotees or any devotees, intentionally or tensionally. If you do it intentionally, then Baba, there's no way getting out of it. But yes, if you do it intentionally, just apologize and just pray to the Lord that, please forgive me for any offense that I may have done. And there's actually, this is my realization from what I've studied over past few weeks of Gajendra and hearing. But I will open the floor to any comments or or any questions that anyone may have.
Prabhu, please carry on. Don't stop. Prabhu, that was like, that class was like a single movement.
Oh, no, Prabhu. You're very kind. You're very, very kind.
Yeah, Is that all, Prabhu? You want to say more?
No, Prabhuji, no, for so far. I mean, I can carry on. There's because this leads to Samudra Manthan, and then Samudra Manthan leads to Vamana Dev. This canto is very glorious, Prabhuji. So there is a lot to say, but I will take rest.
Okay, so Prabhu, so thank you very much. There are comments and questions coming. I'll read them out, and yeah, you may answer accordingly. Sumadhura Radhika Mataji says, thank you very much for a wonderful class, but please can you advise why didn't Hari come to save him, and why did he let him suffer for 1,000 years, seeing as he was a pure devotee?
It's
Very good
very
question.
good question, Matari. Because thing is, Matari, he only offered the prayers when he was struggling right at the end. He did not offer the prayers from the beginning. Because when we are in a good position in material life or spiritual life, in material life, we actually forget. And that's what life was like. And in one of the verses, Goswami has actually said that as like human beings. So it was exactly the same. So when everything is going good in our life, we don't remember the Lord. But the moment there is some trouble, we remember. So he did not remember the Lord for 1,000 years, Mataji. That's the reason Lord didn't come straight away. Lord Hari did not appear straight away is because he did not offer. So the moment he picked up the lotus flower and he offered to the Lord, it's actually mentioned in the end of chapter 3, canto 8 again. I'll tell you, in verse 32 and 33, it is mentioned that Gajendra had been forcefully captured by a crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. But when he saw Narayana and his disc was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took the lotus flower in his trunk, and with a great difficulty due to the painful condition, he uttered the following praise: "O my Lord Narayana, Master of the Universe, O Supreme Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you." So he only remembered Lord Hari right at the end of his life when he was about to give up. And that was because of the Sukriti from the last life as King Indradumna. So that's why I was mentioning that point, that it's very important to utilize this life, because this will have some sukriti, and that we can continue our spiritual practices in the next life. And or if we are lucky enough, if we are that sincere in our prayer, in our bhakti, we might be able to reach back to Godhead straight away in this lifetime. So, and then it is also explained in Bhagavatam that when Lord Hari saw, because in spiritual world, you have to realize that everything happens from mind. You don't have to say anything. So the moment Gajendra offered the lotus flower to the Lord ran straight away. And Garuda knew that the Lord is coming. Let me be ready. But Lord Hari realized that Garuda will be slow. So he got off the back of the Garuda and he ran straight, because he said, my devotee is in need. So that's how excited Lord is to receive us, if we are that sincere as Gajendra. So Lord will come with a flash of second, less than a flash of second actually. So we have to be just as sincere as Gajendra, and as nicely as Gajendra's his prayers, his stuti. That's why I request devotees to chant prayers every day. These very, very nice prayers. You will have some deep realization. Yes. Anyone else?
So we got few more comments saying, appreciating a wonderful class. So very nice recitation of Gajendra Moksha, Shankar Prabhu says, and yeah, so others, my realization from today's class is never leave the lotus feet of devotees. Jai. Madhu Deswal, a wonderful realization. Yeah, so Lalita Preeti says, thank you, Prabhuji. Good start of Ekadashi. Today is Ekadashi. Ram Nityananda Prabhu, thank you for the nice class discussing Gajendra pastime. So that was all good. Wonderful. So I will, made some notes and I just, let's see. I will ask devotees around that, this is a nice way we engage.
Yes.
Yes. Bodhayanta parasparam. So the devotees, what they do, they hear and they talk about the Lord all the time. Materialistic people, they talk about the material things all the time.
Yes.
But yes, we are not fully material. We are not fully spiritual. That is our problem. So sometimes we are this end, sometimes we are that end. So we are at the shore, like marginal potency. We are at the margin, just like the sand. So the sand on the beach, it becomes part of the ocean, and it also becomes part of the land.
Yes.
Sometimes. So we are all like that. Practicing devotees, but what we can do is we can try and engage ourselves as much as possible. The more we hear, the more our consciousness gets better.
Yes, 100%.
And yes, and we should hear from all the devotees. If one is repeating what is said from the parampara, then we should just simply hear. So even one is not a pure devotee, we are not. But if one is repeating the message of a pure devotee, then one should hear.
Yes.
One should hear. That is the system put by Prabhupada. So devotees, are you ready? I'm going to ask with Anandarup Prabhu's permission, I will ask some questions. Apart from Anandarup Prabhu, everybody can answer because he's the one who, and if anything I am unable to answer, Prabhuji will answer it. Yes?
Yes.
The first question I have is, how many yugas is Brahma's one day? You can type in, you can unmute and say.
1,000 yuga sets? 1,000
Yes.
yugas?
1,000 Chatur Yugas. 1,000
Yes.
Chatur Yugas. That's good. How many Manus will come in one day of Brahma?
14.
14. And what is the lifespan of each Manu?
71.
71 Divya Yugas, Chatur
Yes.
Yugas. 71 cycles of these 4 Yugas.
Yes.
That's good. And next we have is, where this, on which mountain or, which mountain this pastime took place? Or near which mountain this pastime took place?
Trikuta.
Trikuta. How big is that? How large is that mountain? Anybody noted that? How many yojanas is it? Yes, 80,000 miles. In yojanas, it is 10,000 yojanas. So 1 yojana is equal to 8 miles. Yes, wonderful. And so who was Gajendra in his past life?
King Indradumna.
King Indradumna, that's right. And he
was...
yes, give chance to others as well. Yeah, that's right. And he was cursed by which sage? King Indradumna was cursed by which sage?
Agastya.
Yes, Agastya. And he belonged to which part of India?
That's a good one.
South India.
Yes,
Madras.
Tamil. Shankar Prabhu's place. We have Shankar Prabhu here. He's from Dravida Desh. Tamil. Wonderful. Okay, next we have who was this crocodile in the past life? What was his name?
King Huhu.
Huhu, yeah. So it sounds like a Chinese, isn't it? Huhu. Yes, and he was a Gandharva. And he was cursed by which sage?
Vashishta?
Um,
Oh,
that was, yes, that was, let's
Devala?
see. Yeah,
Devala.
that's right, Devala,
Dev.
that's right. Someone is hearing very attentively. Wonderful, Devala. Wonderful, yes. How was Gajendra able to remember these prayers even though he was in the body of an elephant?
Sorry, Prabhu, what's your question?
How was Gajendra
How
able,
was he able to?
yeah, how was he able to remember these prayers although he was in the body of an elephant?
Because of his past, when he was King Indrayumna.
Yes, so because of
Mhm.
his past devotional activity. Yes, that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Thank
So yeah, any other questions you want to ask Anandru Prabhu?
Okay, a tough one for everyone. Who was the first Manu and who was his wives?
That one, actually, yeah, I was going to ask.
Swayambhuva Manu and Sadarupa.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so now I'll ask one question, is that in which Manvantara Gajendra pastime took place?
Oh, that's a good one.
So in which Manvantara?
Tamasamanu?
Excellent.
Yes.
But what was which Manvantara is that? Tamasamanu is the right.
Was it the
Fourth
fourth one?
It was fourth. Yes.
Yes.
He was the brother of Uttama, third Manu.
Yes.
Yes. That's good. Any lessons anybody has taken from today's class? People often ask, like, why devotees have to undergo suffering? People often ask, but have you got any realizations? You can speak up. Sometimes typing may be a little difficult. If you want to, yeah, you can either type in or speak up. Any lessons?
Not to leave the lotus feet of the devotees.
That's right. Excellent. And yes, so not to leave the
And no
association.
age.
I beg your pardon?
And you can be old, but still you can try. That's what I felt. Because we are in a elderly size, time, and
Yes.
even though we have not done it before, like Gajendra remembered after 1,000 years of suffering, it's not late to try to be a devotee. That's my hand to hold on to a devotee's,
Better late than never.
Yeah, yeah.
Better late than never. And you are right, it is never too late. It is never too late. We have, sorry?
At the same time, we have to be careful that
that's the point.
We can't leave it till that late that we've got no strength.
Exactly.
And we have to, while we are young and our consciousness is right, we have to engage ourselves straight away. And
yes.
Because the older we get, the more rigid we get in our day-to-day lives. So the best practices would be to start from when you're Prahlad Maharaj's age, age 5.
Yes, actually, that reminds me that Prahlad Maharaj says that one should practice devotion from a tender age.
Yeah.
Yes. But sometimes, some devotees ask, Prabhu, we did not practice at tender age. But at least now, don't worry. But, let's be serious. Yes. James, Prabhu, sometimes we go through suffering to purify ourselves. Krishna kindly brings us back to him, Maya's job. That's a wonderful statement, isn't it? You want to comment anything on that, Anandra Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. We don't go sometimes, Prabhu, James Prabhu. We go all the time. If you're in
sometimes we realize. Only
yes.
Sometimes we realize.
It's like when we are in happy days, everything is going financially right, materially everything is going right. We kind of dwindle off a little bit. We're like, okay, it's fine. We're chanting. But those are the times to actually practice and focus more. Because when the times are worse, then those realizations of prayers are going to help you to go through those sufferings. So in this material world, it's dukhalya. Dukhalya means that it's full of misery. And there is crocodile waiting at every step and every corner. So don't take it easy. That material world is gonna be sometimes gonna be misery. It's gonna be misery at all the times. So to remember the Lord, that's where the practices come in place. That we have to be sincere, hardworking, and we have. And actually, I think I haven't mentioned it, but reading really helps. If you try to read Srimad Bhagavatam every day, take Bhagavatam as your Ishtadev, then it will really help you, because mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam flows, glories of Srimad Bhagavatam flows, because you're reading directly from the right authentic source of Shukadev Goswami. You're literally reading the literary form of what he spoke to Parikshit Maharaj straight away, and then you'll see the mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam will capture your heart. And then you will remember the pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam straight away in your day-to-day life. And those situations that you're in, and when we don't relish the holy names during, sorry, what was that?
So there is another comment also. So thank you, Anandra Prabhu. By Sumedar Radhika Mataji, there is one realization. Gajendra's situation is similar to ours, fighting constantly with Maya, but taking shelter of holy name will save us as per his example. That's a wonderful realization, yes. And James Prabhu says, when we don't relish the holy name during chanting, is this
Krishna's mercy? Okay.
Krishna's mercy.
To only test us, but Prabhu, there's a lot of elements to that. If we don't relish the holy name, that means our anarthas are a lot of anarthas that we've done, knowingly or unknowingly. So in order for us to relish the holy names, we have to know the holy name first and the glories of holy name. And the glories of holy name and Krishna will only be known if you read and listen about it. If you're reading the pastimes, and if it's like if you know a celebrity, and if you want to stalk a celebrity, what do? You read about them, you hear about them, you watch them on TV, you stalk them to the extent where you know everything about them. And then the moment you say their name, you're like, oh, this guy or this person. You relish their name because you've read so much about them, you hear so much about them, and you know so much about them because you've read and you've heard. So it's same with the holy name. You'll only get the relishing taste and undivided attention to holy name is if you know the holy name that well. And to know the holy name is, diving deep into scriptures and hearing from the authentic sources. And then you'll realize that the moment you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, you'll chant with so much love, and you'll chant with so much care and attention that you will not sleep, or you'll not be bored, basically. And I personally think that it comes from reading and listening to the right sources. Go on, Natasha, if you may want to.
No, that's absolutely fine. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So whenever we read and hear, our chanting gets better.
Yes.
Definitely. So I've seen some devotees, before they chant, they hear a little bit, or they read a little purport, or they read something about the holy name, importance of the holy name. That always helps. And we request all the devotees to kindly, come together and participate in these classes. Hearing and chanting is the real key for everything.
100%.
But we appreciate that James Prabhu is asking that question. We all have that problem while we chant, isn't it? So we really don't enjoy. Yes, some devotees may enjoy, but some others may not enjoy. But actually realizing that we have to improve ourselves is the key. First of all,
Yes.
the main thing that people do not actually realize is that I'm doing fine. Actually, I'm a pure devotee. So that is the problem. But at least let's understand where we are. Let us understand our situation and then work to overcome that. The biggest problem is if we do not realize that we are in dark. That is the biggest problem.
There's one word that comes to my mind that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited when he saw Jagannath for the very first time in Jagannath Puri. And he chanted, Na ham viparo na cha narapati. And
Yes.
that verse is very beautiful. I always chant that and remember that verse because it reminds me that I'm no one. I'm just Das Anudasa.
Yes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am actually simply the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who is the maintainer of gopis.
Yes, bro.
Thank
That
you.
was very beautiful.
Yes, so that is the mood we should have. Then we don't. If we have that mood, then it is easy. It is, that's why the progress in Krishna consciousness depends on one's attitude.
Yes.
It depends. The progress actually depends on our attitude. How do we take it? Gajendra, what was Gajendra's attitude? He offered prayer during the difficulty. So attitude is important. Yes. So James Prabhu says some other thing. Yes. Thank you, James Prabhu, for those wonderful comments. It's nice to see that you're enjoying and you're getting bliss. Good, that's good. Okay, so one comment from my side is that we are all in the jaws of a serpent of eternal time.
Yes.
Every day, yes, time is stealing away our life, and this time is time can be compared to serpent. We are in the jaws of the serpent.
100%.
And just like Gajendra, so he is in the jaws of this crocodile. He realized the only thing is we are not realizing. But when we read Bhagavatam, we realize.
Yes.
We are in the jaws of the serpent. And then we can, become a little stronger in our devotion and become determined in our devotion. So thank you so much, Anandaru Prabhu. Amazing job. Within 1 hour, you've done very nice job, given wonderful points, and we are able to connect to your Gurudev as well through you. Radha Govind Maharaj is a very great personality, a great authority on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. So tomorrow we have Sunday feast lecture at 1 o'clock, and tomorrow is also the appearance day of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is the incarnation of Vyasdev. He had actually compiled Chaitanya Bhagavat, so it is a very nice auspicious day. There is a class given by Madhav Kumar Prabhu, so please do attend and enjoy the rest of your Ekadashi. What a wonderful start. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grace Anandaru Prabhu ki jai, Ananta Koji Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo.
Thank you very much.